Greetings, sailors, and welcome to World of Warships and one of my own games. It's a Yamato game, and I feel like I had one of these not that long ago, but it was probably a couple of weeks ago at this point. This time around, I'm in a division with Strangers 1, 2, 3 and Raider there. These guys are both in the Omni clan, and they are both rather better players than I am. And this is actually quite a strong division setup with a carrier, a destroyer and a top tier battleship. So I'm the muscle. Strangers is he's got a nice set of utility options with the smoke. I think he's also got defensive AA on his gearing. I'm not entirely sure. And of course torpedoes. And then of course with Raider being in the carrier, well, I know for sure that if I need fighter cover, say, I can just shout out in TeamSpeak and he will be paying attention. So the Yamato, I like the Yamato, but I seem to end up horribly misjudging a lot of the time when I should be being aggressive and when I should be being a little more cautious. And I think that was one of the themes in the last Yamato video as well, and it's definitely going to be the case this time. Is am I being too aggressive, or am I being just aggressive enough? And that's one of the things with the Yamato in particular, but also just the brawly battleships generally. I'm sure it also goes for the Germans and at least some of the American higher tier battleships. If you're just sailing around behind your allies and they all get picked off and then you're the only one left, well, at that point you know for sure you've done it wrong. You need to be taking some of the focus, you need to be taking some of the incoming fire because you have the armour to deal with it. And of course in the case of the Yamato, you can also deal a pretty tasty amount of damage yourself if RNG favours you. But of course that can go too far. You can end up thinking, oh, I'm going to be aggressive, I'm going to push this, and then you've massively overextended without realising, or at least I end up doing that. And quite often, by the point I realise I've massively overextended, it's far too late to do anything about it. Now in this case, because I'm in a division, because I know I've got strangers ahead of me who has smoke available, it's hopefully less of an issue. And also, if I do start massively overextending, they're probably going to tell me so. And I do tend to find that I play better in a division with the Yamato than when I'm just playing solo. Although I've had some pretty decent games when I've just been playing solo. But with this kind of setup, I know I've got some guaranteed support. And it's actually, I mean, if you want to farm win rate in this game, you could only ever play 3-man divisions, and it would be an incredibly powerful combination, especially if you can get together with a couple of really good players. Because although it's the same number of people you can get together with in World of Tanks, the teams are smaller, so therefore, proportionally, the impact you can have as a 3-man division is higher, because obviously 3 out of 12 is going to have a bigger influence than 3 out of 15 will, potentially. But well, I tend to... I play solo a lot. I think I play solo more than I play in divisions. And if you go and look up on the stats websites, just looking at my own stats, I can see how big of a difference it makes. Because my solo win rate is something around 58-59%. And when I'm in a 3-man division, it's something like 70-odd%. So I could really hardcore farm win rate if I wanted to, but I don't know, I'm just not that way inclined, I suppose. So I'm focusing for now on the Moskva, who's bow on, and when there was a more broadside Montana to go for, maybe that's a mistake. I mean, if I get plunging hits on the Moskva, it could be nice, but this is his strongest armor configuration just about. I think I was thinking of trying to take him down first because, look, broadside Yamato, could have gone for that, but no, I'm focused on this Moskva. He can sit there and spam HE at me, and that can be very dangerous if he's allowed to do so unmolested. And I was thinking maybe perhaps I could get some plunging Citadel hits or whatever from this angle, but, you know, I do some damage, but not nearly enough to seriously discourage this guy. He's not trying to break contact and run away. The enemy team, by the way, I mean, you've seen what's happened so far. We've pushed down here with a really strong force. Myself, the other Yamato division, which is a serious concentration of firepower. Strangers out ahead, of course, and able to scout. He's already got 1 kill himself. And on the other flank, we had a couple of ships. We lost 2 of them, I think, and the Neptune's falling back to our cap. But we're so close to their cap now, and they haven't got that far from their cap that we're kind of forcing them to turn around and deal with this, because we've pushed forward so aggressively. They just didn't have anything here, but it's not like they've equally pushed forward aggressively on the eastern flank. Now I'm seriously starting to take some damage at this point, and oh hello, there's some torpedo bombers. Well, this is where the bulge is going to come in useful, and I did have some help from fighters there, so it was a disrupted drop. But, well, if I get hit by bombs or more torp bombers at this point, there's a risk I might flood. And of course that Moskva's still firing HE at me. And there we go, there's a fire. So Stranger's dropped smoke at this point. I'm going to try and get into that. They're all firing at me at this point, and I think that's because the other 2 Yamatos are getting behind cover, and so suddenly I'm the main thing they have available to shoot at. So naturally, they are. So that's a whole mass of enemy ships there. That's quite a lot of things shooting at me that I don't want to be shooting at me. 3 fires now. This is not looking good. I've got a minute until I can get health back. I have 30 seconds until the fire goes, and it's about, in fact, it's almost exactly the same for the heal timer. So I just have to let these fires burn. Can't do much about it, unfortunately. So into the smoke, which is good. That gives me a bit of respite at least. They can still fire blind into the smoke, of course, but the Yamato division is now starting to press forward. We've also got a Kagero in the cap, which is who the carrier is now trying to focus on. There is also, from the north, the Große Kurfürst coming back down towards this way instead of going for their cap. The Neptune is now only dealing, I say only, but he's dealing with the enemy destroyers, so we know the enemy destroyers aren't here, and if the Neptune can basically defend our cap, and Raider of course can help with that potentially, then that means we've got the entirety of the rest of the enemy team here, and that's fine. So my heal's about to come back, there we go, immediately trigger that. My secondary's opening up, of course, on the Kurfürst, because he's more than close enough. And with Strangers having laid down the smoke, he much more pays attention than I do to how long the smoke's going to last. I'm terrible at judging. And I know, at least if you've got, like, unless you're on your last smoke, of course, you can look at the counter and then memorize, okay, it's at the 1 minute 40 mark, now the smoke disappears. And there's only 1 or 2 destroyers where I've actually been able to successfully remember that. Otherwise, it's usually just, that vague feeling of, I think the smoke's going to disappear soon, but I don't know for sure, and sometimes it catches me unawares. Anyway, angling towards the Kurfürst, he's the immediate threat. The Yamatos, having gone on the cap, has pulled a lot of the heat away from the other ships to the east, so it's just this guy right now, and don't ask me what that shot was, but never mind. Stranger's got the kill anyway, or, no, actually it was the Hindenburg. Okay, I just saw torpedoes and thought it must be Strangers, but no, it was actually the Hindenburg's torps. So I have another fire set from the secondaries, just going to let that burn. I've got another heal in about 25 seconds, that's fine. And because I wasn't being shot at from the other side, which potentially could have finished me, I, at this point, can now turn my guns back and start helping out with these guys here. The enemy are capping, by the way. Rate has been forced to pull his planes towards our cap and try and decap, basically, and spot for that Neptune, because the Neptune alone versus... And I don't know what health the Neptune's on. I mean, bear in mind, this is a British cruiser. Even destroyer guns are a serious threat. But between Raider and the Neptune, they are able to defend our cap. But that means I don't have any support necessarily at the moment from Raider, although there's still some fighters around actually. But I don't have any offensive support, let's put it that way. So this Moskva is now finally giving me some broadsides to shoot at, and you can see all my secondaries opening up on this guy. Hopefully I can get some tasty citadels, and just, even without citadels, I can easily delete this guy. I do have some planes sniffing around though, that might be something to be wary about. But as you can see, yeah, they are utterly concentrated on trying to defend their cap. And there we go, I get the kill. So that's one down. The Rune, who's completely full health. If I can get my rear turret on him, I've got some shells available right now. However, yeah, having said the carrier is now free to come and, yeah, hello, torpedo bombers. Oh well, I'm basically a stationary target, so that's very attractive for the carrier. Even with the good AA that the Yamato has, I probably have had a bunch of my AA guns knocked out already, so that makes me all the easier. I immediately repaired the flooding, but I mean this other set of torps are going to hit while I'm still on my cooldown, and although it's a close run thing, I do actually survive that. Now, I don't have a lot of health now, and this was one from the stream, by the way. I think at the stream I was going, I'm gonna die, but I'm just, I don't know, I'm just now, or I was in the mindset where it's like, right, I'm probably done for, just do as much damage as I can possibly do. Anyway, so there's a pair of battleships who are like literally 2 kilometers or less away from me there, but they're on the other side of this island. The Rune could be a real massive threat if he was close enough to drop torpedoes, but he's not. And the only other ships around left with torps at this point are, well, obviously the carrier, but it's the destroyer. And you might have noticed Strangers had actually gone up to the cap because the Neptune maybe looked like he was struggling a bit, so he's finished off that other destroyer. Anyway, that was a nice hit. That was about half the Rune's health gone in one salvo. Not quite half, but close enough. I'm all out of heals at this point, by the way, so this is it. This is the amount of health I have left, and that's some more torpedo bombers incoming. So I really was convinced I was going to die at this point. So the Kigaro's finished the Rune, and fortunately my gunners have killed all but one torpedo bomber. And this is going to be a close run thing. There we go. just avoiding that. The Yamatos, they have both, have they both copped it? No, one of them's still alive. No, it's a Montana. I've been saying a Yamato division the entire time. It was a Yamato and a Montana. Tier 10 battleships. Anyway, he's backed off the cap. The Yamato died in the cap. The Kigero is still capping himself. And it's now down to 3 enemy ships. We are probably going to cap this one. I mean, we could easily kill these remaining enemy ships, but the Kigero seems fully intent on capping. And I just, at this point, and I think Strangers was saying, no, just stay alive. We've nearly won. Just stay alive. And I was thinking, I want to ram this guy. I want to ram him. I want this to be glorious because it's not going to take a lot of hits to finish me at this point. So my thinking is, yeah, I'm probably going to die, but if I can take one with me. But I didn't realise quite how close we were to capping. It's one of those situations where you're so intently focused for whatever reason, or in this case it was just a lot of intense action, that you don't realise how close you are to capping or to winning on points. So I survived somehow, and because I took so much ridiculous damage and somehow came out of it alive, I got the Dreadnought and Fireproof, and also top score. Don't quite know how, to be honest. It's very unusual for me to place above Strangers and Raider on a score screen like that, but there it is, 2300 base XP. Was that luck? Was that judgment? I mean, I pressed up that aggressively initially because I knew Strangers was going to be there to drop smoke at various points, but then of course Strangers had to run away. And I did have some air support from Raider, but the enemy carrier very nearly killed me even so. And it was more just that at vital points, the enemy team all turned their focus on trying to defend their own cap. And so I had enough of windows of not being shot at that, yeah, if just a couple more ships had done for me, I know what I mean. A couple more ships had shot at me, then I'd have been done for. That's my words getting, as they do. So all in all, that was a very intense game, and it was a good game to have ended the stream on, but I'm not convinced it was necessarily good tactics. That was maybe one of those cases where it wasn't so much being aggressive as overextending massively, but in this case, if it was that, I got away with it. So hopefully you have found this game interesting, entertaining. If you have, you can hit the like button, you can leave any comments below, you can sub to my channel if you haven't already, and as always, stay tuned for more.